Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's been a minute, you guys, for me to post an astrology video. So more recently, well, my name is Yelena Crawford. Let's start with an introduction for anybody who might not remember. I am back, and yes, this is going to remain an astrology channel. So I want to say first and foremost, thank you for all of you who have stayed with me throughout this process of trying to figure out and decide what the hell I'm doing with this channel. But I've had a lot of realizations during this current Venus retrograde about how astrology is such a huge part of my life. I would love it to be something that takes me into old age where I am still practicing or teaching all of these things, and I can't let it go. So I've decided to keep this platform strictly astrology. So I will be doing astrology videos from time to time here, talking about some of the big transits and lunations. I also plan to post my daily content and my daily writings over on my Instagram page. Unfortunately, I deleted all of my past content. I've been going through quite the transformative process over the past year and a half as well. Lots of deep soul searching. So please just be patient with me through all of this. But I know that this is definitely the right move for me right now. So if you'd like to find me over on Instagram, restarting my journey there, I am at Yelena Crawford Astrology. If you are somebody who really was interested in following my real estate journey, my real estate and business journey as well, it is something that I still am pursuing, and I created all new channels for that specifically. So you can find me over at Southwest Florida. It's actually SW Florida Life with Yelena. But anyways, no further ado, I just wanted to give you guys just a little update on another major change that I have decided to make during this retrograde, and I wanted to come back with a bang and do a new moon in Leo video. And I felt like a lot of these intimate decisions and a lot of these intimate energies that we're moving through, why not bring you guys into my bedroom so that we can hang out and talk astrology in here. But anyways, I'm so excited to have you guys. If you are not a subscriber on my channel, I love astrology. I was previously a teacher in the Cosmic Academy, teacher's assistant in the Cosmic Academy of Astrology with Heather Eland. And I know a lot of you are here from the Academy. But I plan to be coming back on a more regular basis. So I would love to have you as a subscriber. So please make sure to tap the subscribe button below. Oh, and anybody who's watching, please help push this video out. I've been gone for a while. I want to get myself back working in the algorithms here. Get the AI on my side again. But anyways, this new moon in Leo is a big, powerful lunation that is very much aligned and tied in with the Venus retrograde process that each and every one of us is moving through right now. So this new moon in Leo is coming up Wednesday, August 16th. It's going to be exact at 5:37 a.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. And it's at 23 degrees and 17 minutes of Leo. So if you do or do not know, this lunation and the chart that it creates sets the stage for what could potentially play out in the world, in our personal lives, on the world stage for the next 30 days, right? For the next lunation cycle, which 28 to 29.5 days to be exact. Now, it also does create an entirely different cycle, which is from now to 6 months in the correlating full moon in Aquarius, which occurs on February 9th, 2024. And I didn't get the exact degree of that one, but that is when what is being seeded right now may potentially come to fruition. The fulfillment of it will be occurring during that time period. So this is a very important lunation as we speak. It is happening in the sign of Leo, which is in tandem with the Venus retrograde. They're only a couple of degrees away. I think at this point, Venus is probably around 18 degrees, a very high amount of minutes. So we'll consider it 19 degrees of Leo. So that's a 4-degree orb. It's really, really tied in with these Venus retrograde energies. Not only is it connected to Venus retrograde, taking us into the heart of matters related to love, relationships, the things that we desire, creativity and self-expression. It also is very tied to matters of money and finances and our relationship with spending and saving and all of those kinds of things. However, it is also connected to, in a conjunction with Black Moon Lilith, which is sitting at 24 degrees. Now, I don't want to explain this right now. We're going to get into that a little bit later. But furthermore, this is also making an exact square to Uranus, which has hit 23 degrees of Taurus. Uranus, the change agent, the planet that everyone refers to as expect the unexpected, bringing epiphanies, sudden realizations, and just all kinds of chaotic energy that we may or may not have expected. Usually it's on the may not have expected side. We also have nice trines, harmonious energies to Eris, the goddess of war and destruction, Chiron, the wounded healer, and also we're going to consider this a trine to the North Node, which is the path towards our karmic destiny. So there's a lot going on here, especially considering the fact that during the time of this new moon, Mars, which is the way that we take action, the way that, we exert our force and passion in a certain direction, is in the sign of Virgo, the very practical oriented, detail oriented, focused sign of Virgo, which is trining Uranus and Taurus. So this is a little bit of a mitigating energy, something that helps to kind of smooth over any of the chaos, shakeups, instability that is being brought about right now, the next 30 days, or the next 6 months, because there's a practical element here. There's something that's helping us organize details. It's something that is helping us to get rid of information or things in our lives that may not be what we need right now. Virgo energy, if you've ever heard, they're really good at deciphering what's not necessary, what's not needed, and kind of keeping the things that are correct or keeping the things that are most helpful. So I think that there's going to be a lot of influence in the next several months helping us and assisting us in that direction as well. Even though we might feel like we're really breaking out of a mold and heading in a direction where there's a lot of unknown and there's a lot of fear that's coming up. Okay, so with all of that said, I first and foremost want to give you a little bit of an idea of who might be affected. So if you take a look at your astrological chart, if you don't know your chart, I highly recommend maybe taking an astrology course or something like that so you can learn. I think it's very, very important to really know your chart. You know your chart, you know thyself, right? And then when you hear forecasts like this, you'll know if specific transits are going to align with you or not. So one thing that we need to understand is that not every lunation, not every new moon or full moon, not every transit is going to affect every person. So basically what happens is that we have a natal chart, which is a lot of planets still in a chart, which is the snapshot of the blueprint of our lives when we are born, right? And then transits are where the planets are currently moving in the sky. Sorry if you already know this, but if you don't, I just want to give a quick little synopsis. I promise I'll slide through it quickly. And how those moving planets in the sky are interacting or communicating with the planets in your chart, correct? And then it will create certain energies and events in our lives and activate and trigger certain things. So with that said, this specific lunation is very much going to affect fixed sign placements. Fixed signs being Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius. So this could be anything, especially I would say your sun, your moon, or your rising sign. It can be personal planets too. It can be really anything. So it can be your Mercury, Mars, Venus, whatever. That might affect you, but it may be on a little bit of a smaller scale. Or maybe if you have your north or south node here, if you have your midheaven, your IC, your rising, or your descendant, these are all very significant points in the chart. And this could definitely be affecting you. If you have those points between, we're gonna give a small orb here, between the degrees of 22 to 24. So 22, 23, and 24 degrees of the fixed signs. Now, I always love and think about how astrologer Rick Levine said one day, if you are between these degrees, you can consider it being that you have an invite to the event. So you have received a ticket to whatever manifestations this energy that we are going to talk about today is going to create. So you might feel this on a smaller scale if you have planets a little bit further outside of that orb, or you might just feel a little bit of it anyways, or see it playing out in the lives of those around you. Okay, so moving on. A new moon is always indicative of new beginnings, right? Something that's being seeded. But with new beginnings always comes endings. So there are a lot of things that we're sloughing off, a lot of things that we're ending, and we're potentially coming out of a big cycle of doing some deep shadow work where we really were sloughing off a lot of these things, because with the Venus retrograde cycle that we're in, Venus was just going into the underworld, coming through the heart of the sun, and being purified. So with Venus traveling into the underworld, a lot of those things that we discussed earlier, relationship matters of the heart, our confidence and the way that we value ourselves and others, all of these things, money issues, were potentially bubbling up to the surface, the ways in which we are not aligned with our future, and the ways in which our soul wants us to move forward. And the reason I'm talking about the soul, the higher self, more of a divine intelligence, is because of the involvement of Uranus here. Uranus is the higher mind. And a lot of the times when Uranus is involved here so directly, I mean, this is an exact square to Uranus, the change agent. Sometimes that's out of our hands. We may think we have control with our choices, but we really don't. It's either you decide to work with Uranus and the changes that it wants to bring about, or you fight it and you're going to end up dealing with it anyways and being forced into it. So, like I said, it's very, very interesting energy, and I think it's really important that we all understand it on a deep level. So these new beginnings, where could they be? Where could they be happening? I would definitely consider looking at the Leo portion of your chart, if you know where that is, and thinking some of the house topics associated with that. But when we're just looking at the archetype of Leo, we think of things like the ways that we express ourselves, our creativity, or just creation in general, because Leo is associated with children. So it literally could be birthing something, birthing a child, birthing a new project, birthing a creative project, or going back to something that you once did before, or someone that you once knew before. There are so many things that are associated with all of that as well. And the reason I talk about going back to the past is completely because we have a retrograde that's occurring right next to this new moon, right? So it's almost a fresh start with something from the past, or something from the past. So anyways, this could also have a lot to do with heart healing. Leo has everything to do with the heart chakra. It could be something revolving around the topics of leadership and individuality. So maybe some people are embarking on a new journey related to a career endeavor, or maybe just taking the lead in their own lives, right? Maybe you didn't have empowerment to be an individual. Maybe something, a family member or father or whatever, could potentially have been holding you back, but you decide no more. Is this going to affect me? You take the reins and you lead in your life. So this could very literally be a new leadership position that some people are taking on out in the world as well. I would also say this is following your heart's desires. So not being afraid to follow your true heart's wishes and going in the direction that you feel called towards. The ability to stand confidently in the truth of who you are, your true authenticity, which is definitely something that we're healing in general with these trines that we have from this new moon up to Chiron, the wounded healer, in the sign of Aries, which has everything to do with the self, who we are, our previous woundings that have not allowed us to be authentic and stand in our truest expression. So a lot of these things are starting to become, well, I don't think that we're just starting to become aware of them, but what I do think is that this energy is harmonious in a sense where we are able to look at these faults within ourselves, or these perceived faults within ourselves, or these insecurities, or these things that have come to the surface that we perceive to be imperfections. And we're able to sit with them a little bit more comfortably. We're able to work with them. We're able to mold them, or we're just able to accept who we are amongst all of these things and understand that the right people, places, and things will love us no matter what, right? And we are being rebellious and starting a revolution to push ourselves away from separating ourselves from others because we believe that our faults make us so different and unacceptable, right? This is a huge, huge, huge deal during this new moon. So there's potentially going to be a lot of breakthrough energy revolving that. Now, Leo's a risk taker, and so is Uranus. So I would say be cautious, of course, but taking a risk outside of something that you normally would do within these deeply etched and ingrained patterns that we find ourselves in our lives. So this is definitely a time to kind of step outside of that, which I guess that's a good time to now lead into these Uranian energies that we're in. This past week, the week ahead, we are really, really in some big Uranian energy. I would say the whole month ahead. So what does that mean exactly with this square to Uranus? Now, we do know that squares pose to be a little bit more challenging than other aspects, squares and oppositions. So no matter what it is, you know, there are some aspects of it that are probably not going to be as easy as you would like. But that's okay, because with squares, I like to say, that's where the change occurs, right? When we have easier aspects, it's a lot easier to stay ingrained in our ways. It's where we typically tend to get a little bit lazy. We don't want to make a change. Things are flowing nicely. We feel good. So why the fuck would we change? You know what I mean? But this is trying to get us out of old ways of being so that it can free us and give us the happiness that we truly want, need, and deserve. However, it's with some of those things that you might think were absolutely impossible, so you push them away and thought, there's no fucking way I'll ever reach that or achieve that or be that, because I'm damaged or because I'm this way. But there are possibilities. And Uranus is the bigger picture. It's having a vision of the future. And it's helping us to envision that these things are possibilities, but that there is some work that's involved here. And it could be hard work. It can be very uncomfortable work. So with that said, I want to talk a little bit about Uranus and Uranus's discovery. Nothing huge, but so when Uranus was discovered, interestingly enough, there were 3 different revolutions that were going on at that time: the French Revolution, American, and the Industrial Revolution. So revolutions are known to disrupt the order of things completely. That's pretty much the name of the game of Uranus, disrupting the order of your life, whether that's chaotic in the moment or not, because typically when Uranus comes into our lives, a lot of times in the moment, it looks like the worst thing that could possibly happen. It doesn't always have to be bad though. But when we look at things in hindsight, we say, oh my God, I'm so grateful that that happened. I did not expect it to turn out this way. In the moment, it seemed like everything was falling apart, but really what I didn't understand is that it was all falling together. It was all falling together. So just keep that in mind, you guys, if that's where you feel like you are right now, or if you find yourself in that type of situation in the next month or the next 6 months to come, do not fear it. Just know that there is a divine order, a divine hand at play here with this energy. So in Taurus, Uranus is in Taurus. This is a very fixed energy. I would say Taurus is probably the most fixed. I mean, I'm sure they're all fixed, and they're all fixed in their own ways, right? But this is a very, whatever this change is trying to bring about, this change of whatever our circumstances are, these circumstances are very deeply ingrained. This is something that we thought would never change, or that we could never change. It's stuck in place, or at least we perceive for it to be stuck in place. But don't ever think that nothing is possible, or don't ever think that something is too stuck, right? Especially when this is the kind of energy that we're in. So anyways, I wanted to bring up the definitions of what a revolution is, just to give you guys an idea of how big this Uranian energy can really be. So the first definition I found on Webster's was the overthrow and replacement of a government. Now that's a big deal, to actually overthrow and replace a government. So it almost makes me wonder, kind of sounds like what we're actually going through in the world right now. So it makes me wonder what kind of craziness we're about to see in the next 6 months. I guess only time will tell, right? The second definition is a sudden or momentous change in a situation. So Uranus is lightning, guys. Lightning strike. If lightning hits something, there's no going back. It's like a chemical change, right? Life changes unexpectedly. You never expected that to happen. Holy cow, there's no turning back from here. And then finally, a fundamental change in the way of thinking about or visualizing something. So this is a complete paradigm change in the way that you see the world. So with the square, what might we be able to expect? Change. Change, 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 change. Disruption. Shakeups to your normal operating systems in life, in your personal life, especially if you are somebody with those fixed sign placements between, again, 20, 23, 24 degrees. And if you want to take it out a little bit further, maybe it'll go from 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 degrees of the fixed signs. So this is something very new, something eccentric, outside of the box, unordinary, unexpected, that is really wanting to be birthed during this new moon. So anything that you are holding on to too tightly with a very tight grasp because you are so afraid of the change or what could be or the possibilities of the unknown, I just would highly suggest to you to release the grip just a little bit. And just maybe put yourself in a position where you say, okay, I surrender. Maybe I don't know 100% what's best for me in life. And maybe, yes, I have a plan and I want things to go my way, but maybe, just maybe, there's some divine order and some divine plan that might know best what's best for me in my future. And just maybe my current circumstances, the people I have in my life, need to be rearranged and realigned in order for these future occurrences to kind of slip their way in. So there's just some rearranging of puzzle pieces that need to be changed here, right? They need to be reordered a bit. So with Pluto still in a position where it's squaring the nodes of fate, and this new moon is trining the North Node, which is the direction that we are supposed to be heading in right now. The nodes are currently sitting on the Aries and Libra axis, where Aries is all about our independent self-expression, really stepping further into ourself, learning about ourselves, expressing ourselves authentically, really taking the role of a leader in our own lives. Maybe it's a leader in a career, like I was explaining earlier, and being more assertive, standing our ground, speaking our truth, making it okay to have healthy competition. And the South Node is in Libra, where we are releasing codependency. We are releasing the need to people please. We are releasing the need to always be liked by anyone and everyone. What I love about this Aries energy is interdependence. And interdependence is all about the healthy dynamics of relationship. So where we're still honing in, we don't want to, energy isn't about getting rid of relationships, you guys. It's about evolving relationships. It's about showing up differently in healthier relationships where we each have our own identity. You know, one person is not just so intertwined with the other where they lose themselves. And then you feel smothered and then you feel resentful. It's about having healthier relationship dynamics. It's about honesty and integrity, speaking your truth, not always going with what the other person wants just because you're not trying to rock the boat. So just keep all of that in mind right now as well. So Pluto is squaring these nodes, which are very tied to this new moon as well. And Pluto brings up all this fear and doubt. It definitely takes us deep down where we've already been, into the sludge, into the grime of our own shadow world, of our own subconscious. So all of these fears come bubbling up to the surface, and we're kind of forced to face them before we can move forward. And that's kind of where we're at right now. So it's okay if that's what you've been feeling, if you feel like you're stuck, like you can't move forward, or you're just like bound by these things from your past. Don't get too wrapped up in all of that. Of course, I want you to take a look at it. That's what it's for. But don't get too lost in it. Don't feel like that's the end all be all of these circumstances, because it's not, and it will change. But again, you have to be involved in the change, right? So it will help you reach the breakthrough quicker if you do involve yourself in it. I will tell you all right now, this is not the time to do the same old, same old. Do not think that you're just gonna get by doing the same old routines, acting the same old way, taking the same old route that you've always taken, using the same behavior mechanisms, not willing to find new ways to compromise or mold your personality characteristics and evolve who you are as a person. Because Uranus is expecting this change of you. I would urge you all to experiment, to take risks. This is a big time to take risks. Be adventurous, be bold, be rebellious. Whether or not you decide to accept this invitation into this new world, Uranus may force it upon you anyways. That's just kind of the name of the game, right? With Uranus, it's like, no, now is the time to change. I don't really care if you want it or not. It's happening. Think about the parts of you specifically that are set in concrete, okay? Because like I said, this is fixed energy. From potential past traumas that you may have experienced, you have become a certain way. And that has really, really solidified and has become deeply ingrained and set in stone within you. And that these deeply ingrained ways of being are safety mechanisms. It's a mechanism of survival. It's to keep you safe, right, from outside harm. So you might push away the possibility, or you have in your past pushed away the possibility of things being any other way because that would be a threat, right, to your normal mode of operation or these deeply ingrained and etched patterns of where you are in your life right now. So just ask yourself, where may you be limiting yourself or holding yourself back in life? Where are you totally rigid and inflexible? Just a little self-exploration exercise to try to help open up some of this energy within you. Uranus can bring sudden downloads and inspirations that may be very, very disruptive to where our thoughts, perspectives, and life circumstances currently are. So maybe, I'm gonna give you another example, just a random example. You're in a marriage, you've been in a marriage for a really long time, you're starting to realize that you've changed so much, but this change within you, this need for freedom and self-expression and adventure is very different than the relationship that you have with your partner, which is very set in its ways. And there hasn't been a whole lot of change in many, many, many years. Maybe your partner's not open to it. And you just kind of repress this version of yourself. You're like, okay, well, I'm in this marriage. We're making it work for life. This is just, it is what it is. So you kind of stuff it down, stuff it down, stuff it down. And then it gets to a point with this Uranus activation where you can't stuff it down any longer. It's boiling up to the surface. You start to realize that you have all these resentments and that you just can't do it anymore. But because you've had so many of these epiphanies and sudden realizations, you realize, oh my God, how could I possibly make this change? Like, it's gonna disrupt my entire life to get to the other side. Not only is it gonna disrupt this person's life and everything that we have together and this whole life that we've built, but I just can't be this person any longer. And so if you try to hold on, if you are one of the people that are invited to the event, you have tickets to this event because it's affecting your chart, Uranus could help to aid in breaking apart the actual physical paradigm to help get you to the other side. So like I said, it can look very disruptive during the situation, but it's ultimately trying to free you. Black Moon Lilith is very close in conjunction, within 1 degree, to this new moon in Leo. And the mythology of Black Moon Lilith, just to explain just a couple seconds of, I don't want to get into it too far, this video is already too long, but Lilith is Adam's first wife. Her and Adam were both born from the same place, from the soil, right? So this is all representative of Lilith's need for autonomy in their relationship, of independence and of equality. She wanted to be Adam's equal, right? And that's not what Adam wanted at all. So Lilith rebelled and she, you know, refused to submit to Adam. And then Adam went on and got rid of Lilith, and they shunned her, and they told her she was not to return to the Garden of Eden ever again. And then Eve married Adam. Eve was actually conceived from the rib of Adam, birthed from his rib, and was not his equal, and she was very submissive to Adam. And then he ended up, you know, carrying out this relationship with her. So anyways, with that said, this is very representative of the repressed darkness within us. And these things within us that we refuse to acknowledge, or we refuse to take a look at because we might be afraid of being shunned, or somehow being cast out from society, or not being accepted from other people, being misunderstood, not being seen properly, right? Instead of ignoring all these parts of ourselves, though, this new moon is urging us to take a closer look at it, to integrate it, to accept ourselves for who we are, and to somehow make that work, to dive further within that. So either make it work and own and accept these parts of ourselves and integrate them so that we can potentially unlock some of the magic that's in all of these dynamics. I feel like the further you dive into your own shadows, and the further you unlock the magic that you truly hold within yourself, your authenticity, the realness that exists within you, which is a part of people that is so unbelievably buried. They think they're who they really are, but they really aren't, if that makes sense. So this is really kind of activating that right now with this conjunction. Now, also, there's a trine to Eris. And Eris is the goddess of discord and strife. And she was discovered, interestingly enough, during the Roaring 20s, when there was a brand new type of woman that was emerging in the Roaring 20s. And this woman certainly was not one that fit into normal society. Okay, she was definitely the outcast. So it's kind of similar energy, different but very similar energy, as you can see here. A lot of these energies are being brought up. There's also a trine to Chiron, which is our most significant woundings, our lack of self-confidence in who we are, you know, some of the things that make us feel just like shit, you know, when they get triggered. It really brings up those insecurities. It really brings up all that stuff within us. It just makes us want to hide in a hole, really. But with this trine, it's like, yes, these are very weird and raw energies that are usually unexpressed, but for some reason, this energy is like, no, this is going to help you express these parts of yourselves unapologetically, and to own it so that you can have better life experiences, so you can move forward and be more free in who you really are, right? So I really do like all of that about this new moon. I think it's very beautiful. And yeah, I'm really excited about this second half of the Venus retrograde now that we've moved through the Venus Cazimi. Venus has become a little bit more pure, and she's able to kind of tap into and harness some of these raw characteristics within herself, these raw characteristics and dynamics in our relationships. And whether it's information and ugly truths that are helping us to solidify and make our relationship stronger, or our relationship with ourselves stronger, or maybe it's some of those harsh truths that make us realize that we have to make some pretty hard decisions in our life and move away from things that are no longer aligned, no longer good for us. So wherever you are, you know, I'm sending you all my love, wishing you the very best. I know that some of these things are not the easiest to navigate through, but I truly have faith in you. I believe in you. You've got this. And I would like to continue developing this community. So if you would like to share any of your experiences in the comments, I plan to comment and read all of them, and maybe we can find some comfort in each other's experiences, and know that everything is happening right now in a very divine way, and that we're all in this together. Tap the like button below. If you feel inclined, leave me a comment. And if you haven't done so already, please tap subscribe. I would also be very grateful if you could share this video, help get the word out that this channel is active again. And please add me on Instagram at Yelena Crawford Astrology for daily astrology writing and insights. Thank you guys very much. Wishing you guys all the best in this journey towards more freedom, love, and self-acceptance. Peace.